Hello and good afternoon. Welcome to the FSElite Theatre and welcome to Lillestead in Amsterdam here at FS Weekend. How are you all doing? Come on. There we go. That's better. Cool, so thank you very much. We have a full crowd. This is fantastic. It's so amazing to see so many flight simmers all in one place, sharing that same enthusiasm and passion for the hobby that we all love and enjoy. So today we have an amazing packed bunch of seminars from a range of developers, exhibitors, and hardware people as well. So you guys are in for a real treat. Just a few housekeeping things very quickly before we do get started. We are very full in here today. As you can see, there is not a spare seat in here. If you do need to leave at any point today, please come down the stairs and take the exit over to this side rather than going up the stairs. And please do not go over to this side. The exits are behind you. They are designated by the signs. If you know me, I'm also cabin crew, so I better do the obligatory. But otherwise, we hope you enjoy today and the rest of the show. So, it gives me great honor and privilege to introduce our first seminar today, the wonderful guys at Navigraph. They have an amazing talk for the next 15 to 20 minutes, and then hopefully we'll have some time for some questions as well. But it's without further ado, Magnus from Navigraph, please welcome to the stage.
Thank you, Calum. Thank you, FSElite. Very nice to be here. So nice to see a lot of familiar faces and a lot of new faces. Navigraph has been around for 20 years, and I believe it was 18 years ago since we were last here at FS Weekend. So it was about time that we came back, and what an evolution that we have seen. The airport, the place, the faces, the people here, it's fully packed auditorium, and quite honest, I think we ran out of giveaways, so we clearly underestimated the popularity of this event. So happy to be here, so thanks for inviting us, Niels and Janice. Let's see, I had something prepared here. But I'd like to make some changes to it. Does anyone have a pen? No? Okay, crap, we'll have to make do without it. Thanks. We're from Stockholm, Sweden. Navigraph was founded about 20 years ago. Me and Stephen O'Connell, we were working at SAS when we heard in the support department there that we would like to buy some charts and we would like the outdated kind, to which SAS replied, heck no, we cannot do that. And that was the future of Navigraph, because we realized that there was a huge potential for not only charts, but also navigational data and flight planning. And over the last 20 years, this is what we've been providing you guys with. And I'd like to start this speech by thanking you all for the support that you have been giving us, because hadn't it been for you guys, we wouldn't have had the time and the resources to develop the tools that we're offering you. So this is a mutual exchange, and thank you very much for that. 3 years ago, we made a significant investment, you could say, because we decided to scrap everything we had. So the databases and the code, we all put it aside and we said, let's start fresh. And in November of 2022, Navigraph Charts version 8 saw the light of day. And with it came support for all platforms. So we basically rewrote the code base from scratch, just to make sure that we're ready for the future. So we're going to be here for a significant... and with it came a rapid evolution of features. And here today we will see one of our latest feature releases, which I hope that you will appreciate. It looks seemingly simple, which it normally does, but behind the scenes there's been a tremendous amount of work. The team at Navigraph, currently 32 members, have been hard at work preparing this for you. Well, not everyone, some people are working in support as well, but the majority of the developers have been busy preparing this for you. With me here today on stage, I have Stephen O'Connell, Chief Technical Officer and also co-founder of Navigraph, and Martin Tranquel, who is our pilot training lead. And you're like, wait a minute, pilot training lead? I haven't heard that before. That's right. This fall, we're preparing a new project at Navigraph, which we have chosen to call a Navigraph Academy. And it basically stems from the fact that you guys been missing an instruction manual. The software is getting complicated to the point where we need to take it from the beginning, and that's why we're taking this initiative to create tutorials and teaching material from the basics. So I'm taking away a little bit from the focus of the feature here. I just wanted to make a little plug that Navigraph Academy is something that you want to follow. Okie doke, let's see, where was I? I think I'm done talking actually. Over to the stuff why we're here. Please roll the movie.
All right, so now you know annotations. I'm going to give you a brief background. I'm Stephen O'Connell, CTO and co-founder. We, as Magnus mentioned, are really driven by you guys, your feedback, your input is what is guiding our development. We have a super long roadmap and wish list. Maybe you know in our forum we have a wish list where we collect feedback. We collect feedback at events like this, in social media. And actually in our wish list, one of the top requested features of the past few years has been the ability to draw on the charts. And this is what we've been working on now in the past few months. So actually, to be true, this is not the first time we have annotations in Navigraph. Some of you may have used our apps like 10 years ago. Anyone here who had used Navigraph like 10 years ago who actually used annotations back in the days? None. Okay, great. Oh, one. Okay. 2. Okay. 3. Well, coming. Okay, 2. Right. Back then it was only the iPad app because every app was written in its own code base. It was very hard to move features across to the different platforms we want to support. As mentioned here, we released the Charts 8 1.5 years ago, and this enabled us to actually release features in a much more rapid pace. So now we are able to develop a feature and move it across into all the different platforms at once. So Annotations is now available, or not now, I'm coming to that. It's going to be available on iPad, Android, web, desktop, and even the MSFS in-game panel. And this is using basically the same code. So this is one of the long range of features that we're planning in the near future. And this is something that's going to be available, hopefully, when we get back home to Sweden. So it's not released yet, but we're going to show you how this looks. So we're going to give you a little sneak peek. And helping me with this is Martin Tranquel. Please introduce yourself.
Hey everyone. Very nice to be here. I'm very excited. My name is Martin Trankel, like both the gentlemen have told you. Before I went to Navigraph, I was a commercial pilot. I worked as an airline captain on the ATR 72600, and before that I was a commercial flight instructor as well. So I am super excited about being here talking about the new annotations feature, because I've used it quite a lot in real life. We did use annotations extensively in the flight deck, and I've also used it in smaller planes as well. So I think we will add realism, and we will also add convenience through this. And Stephen is going to run it. I'm going to try to guide you a little bit in a few examples on how you can use this. And Stephen will try to do the annotations while I do that. So we'll see how that works. So please, yeah, Stephen, if you could. I flew out of Arlanda. I'm Swedish as well. So I would prefer us to be in Arlanda, which is over there. And then we can sort of go through a few plates on our trip over to Helsinki. So Stephen, could you pull up the taxi plate? There's something called a departure routing taxi plate for Stockholm Arlanda. Here we go. So before we do the annotation, I just want to explain, if maybe some of you have tried this, but in Stockholm Arlanda, you actually have something called standard taxi routes. And a standard taxi route means that when air traffic control calls you up, when you get a taxi clearance from air traffic control, they will actually not give you any taxiways in the clearance. So what they would do is they would say something like Scandinavian 081 cleared to holding point runway 26. And note there's no taxiways in the clearance, right? But if you take a look on the plate, there's actually small arrows, and you're supposed to follow these. And we used annotations for this. So Stephen, let's pretend we're at gate 42, which is at the bottom. And we have been given that clearance that I just gave you. So we are supposed to follow the standard taxi route. That would mean going up from 42, so you could draw that, up through Zulu Golf. Hopefully this works, Stephen. There you go. And all the way up through Yankee, turn right on X-ray, and we end up on X-ray 2. And the way we did this in real life is we actually drew this before we even got the clearance. So we did a little briefing. We said we can probably expect runway 26, because you can get that on the 80s. And then we drew this, we got the clearance, and it usually was the same thing. And as far as I'm aware, VATSIM does the same thing in Arlanda, so it's the same rules. You can probably go talk to them about that later, but I believe that is so. Sometimes you will be given another clearance. So this was the 95% of the time case, but sometimes you got another clearance, and we can do that through annotations because we have different colors. So Stephen can pick another color, be ready with the other color. We call for the clearance, and the clearance comes through, and it says maybe cleared to holding point runway 26 via Zulu November. So that will go all the way up there, turn left on Zulu November, and then X-ray 2 as well. So annotations here help you with both preparing but also reacting to clearances in this case. So that's one use we have. All right. Should we do another one? Maybe the approach plate for Helsinki? Because you can definitely use this for approach plates as well. So let's pretend we're supposed to do this ILS to left at Helsinki. And one thing that I made mistakes with this in real life sometimes. So if you take a look on the notes in the header here, so Stephen, maybe, yeah, exactly that one. The number 2 says minimum 150 knots until distance 4 from touchdown zone. And some of you probably have tried this. Some aircraft, they struggle a little bit in maintaining, at least getting down to final approach speed in this short of distance. And it's also easy to forget to actually maintain 150 to 4. So this is something I would highlight. And we can use squares, not squares, rectangles in this case, and we can also use circles in annotations in Navigraph charts. So that could be one thing. So when you're on approach later, you would actually be reminded because you would see the big square or the big rectangle, and that would remind you that, yeah, right, I'm supposed to maintain 150 to distance 4. That's another use case here. And you can do whatever you want with this. This is just some things I did. The possibilities are, of course, endless, and you will probably figure out a way to do it yourself. I just want to show you, this was charts, but then we have our flight plans as well, our operational flight plans. And you can draw annotations on those as well. So here's a flight plan for the same flight that we generated before this talk. And exactly, we talked about this. We could probably show this. So when you're getting the clearance from air traffic control, you probably have a pen, a pencil, and paper, and you're ready to copy. If you're flying VATSIM, this is probably something you've tried as well. What you could do with annotations is you could go to this page on the operational flight plan, and you have your routing, your expected route. So that's the filed flight plan to VATSIM, or in real life to air traffic control. And what would happen most probably is air traffic control will come back and they will say, yeah, you're clear to destination via TOVRI 5 Golf, the SID, and flight plan route. And what I usually did, I drew an arrow, just like Stephen is doing right now. And that, to me, indicated that, okay, I was cleared TOVRI 5 Golf, and I was cleared the flight plan route. And now I have actually written down my entire clearance, right? Without writing a single word. So that could help. If you got something else... Oh, I didn't even see what I was, but obviously we're back up and running again. So if you received something else, you could write that down in the departure ATC clearance box that's just below. And one common thing you could get was radar vector. So clear TOVRI 5 Golf and thereafter expect radar vectors. And you could put an RV or something there. Stephen, you could probably try that. If you can, I don't know what the arrow was. Okay, good. So something like that. And you can, of course, find your own way of doing this. Some people have their own symbols for different clearances. Final thing we can show, we can probably go down to the weather charts. So if you want to annotate something on the weather charts as well, you can of course do that. And on this chart we have icing, and medium turbulence. So you could probably draw a circle around that. Yeah, that's a square, that works too, but we have circles. So you can choose whatever you want. All right, so that's some ways you can actually use annotations when you're flight simming. And it's very realistic. I'm very excited about this feature. I fly a lot now. Of course, I fly the ATR because I used to fly the ATR, so I'm quite interested in that. But I've missed this feature in Navigraph charts. So I'm excited because we're announcing it, but I'm also excited because I'm going to go home on Monday and actually use this feature as well. All right. Stephen, final words?
Quick question. Yes, quick question. It's on the cloud, so whatever you do in one device will be reflected in the others. Okay, so you build it, and it will be persistent. Yes. So thank you very much, Martin, for this, for guiding us through this demo. As I mentioned before, this is not yet released on the App Store. It hopefully will be when we get back home. But right now, you can actually try this out in our booth. So if you come to our booth, we have now reloaded all the iPads with annotations, so you can try it out yourself. And that's it for this demonstration. We're happy to take any questions if you have any more questions right now.
Do you need this pen now, or can I give it back?
You can give it back.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
So we have time for just one question. I know that's quite short, but obviously these guys have an amazing booth over in this other area, so please feel free to go and see them later. So I saw the gentleman just up there with his hand up. So the question was, is it also on the web browser as well?
Yes.
That was easy. We've got time for another question. Take the gentleman here.
So you showed us the annotations on a notebook. Is the Apple Pen supported?
Yes. On iPad, Apple Pencil is supported, and it's actually really convenient.
We used it last night, so it definitely works. It was very convenient. Yeah.
And we have one pencil in the booth, so you can try it out there.
Amazing. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, please do give it up for the Navigraph team. So I hope you enjoyed that. That is just the first of many seminars we have today. Up next, we have... Ladies and gentlemen, hello. Welcome back if you saw our last presentation, but if you're not, if you didn't see the last one, then welcome to the FSElite Theatre. So we have another presentation, this time from the team at Xplane. So what we'll do is exactly the same. They're going to give a nice presentation, and then hopefully we'll have some time for any questions at the end. But in the meantime, please put your hands together for Thompson and Philip from the Xplane team.
Hey, how's it going? Oh, that's loud. All right. Hey, my name's Thompson. I'm from the Xplane team, and we're really happy to be back in the Netherlands for FSWeekend. Nice to have this back on the calendar. If you haven't seen our stand already, we're over next to Navigraph, actually, in the room right on the other side of that wall. So we'd love to have you drop by and fly a little bit. But today, what I really want to talk about is Xplane 12.1. This is our a really major release that we've been working on for the last few months, and we're getting pretty close to a public beta, so I figured we should talk about it some. So the main focus of 12.1 has been our graphics. We've spent a lot of time refining the lighting model in Xplane, and also some features that weren't quite there yet in previous releases. Stuff like cloud shadows on the water are coming in 12.1. That's really fun. It's a great immersion, especially when you're flying low over a lake or in a seaplane. We have bloom lighting effects, which affect how very bright light emitters react to the camera in Xplane. If you look behind you, the two lights on the side here are a pretty good example of what bloom looks like. It's very bright, and it kind of bleeds out from the bulbs themselves. So you'll see some screenshots of that in just a minute. We also have nice softer shadows. For a long time, the shadows have kind of been, 1 pixel at a time, and that isn't the most immersive effect that we could imagine. We also have improved anti-aliasing. This is one step towards a larger anti-aliasing project that we're working on. So this will provide some help, but we also have more in the pipeline for that. An interesting thing about performance in Xplane 12 is that in the past, we've had people whose graphics cards were the big limiter of their performance, and now that's swapped. So most people are CPU bound in Xplane 12. So one thing that we're doing currently is adding more multi-core support, and the first step of that is a new modern collector. A collector is the piece of code that decides what needs to be rendered, and this is a technical first step to enhance CPU performance. We have a new screenshot mode that allows you to use Xplane for your beautiful Discord screenshots. You can add stuff like depth of field to your screenshots, adjust the exposure in real time, and other stuff like that. We have some examples coming up. And the other main graphics thing is improved water turbidity. So right now when you go into Xplane and you go next to our aircraft carrier, for example, you can see the very bottom of the hull, which is cool because it is modeled and it's beautiful, but it's not exactly realistic. So that's also fixed. Let's see some screenshots. You can see that the full look and feel of Xplane is a little bit refined in this version, and in our opinion, a lot closer to reality. This is a good example of depth of field. So this was taken within our screenshot mode. So you can see the G1000, the PFD is nice and crisp. That's kind of the subject of the photo. And then as you get over to the other side of the cockpit, it's a bit more out of focus and pretty. This is an example of the improved water rendering in Xplane 12.1. This is actually with Ortho for XP. We've done a lot of work to make their new packages compatible with Xplane 12, so you don't run into the same issues as the old V11 packs, where you couldn't really land on the water and enjoy the full feature set. Here is some of that bloom lighting that I was talking about. You can tell that the very bright emitters are kind of spilling out from just the bulb itself. That also happens with the sun in a lot of cases, so that will be a cool feature to experience. And of course, here's another airliners.com style photo made with our screenshot tool. So the background is blurred and just the aircraft is in focus. Next up is one of my favorite additions to 12.1. We have some new particle effects that are coming into the sim, some of which are refinements on stuff we've already been doing, and some are all new. So we have sparks from pavement collisions. So if you try to land without a gear, now you have a visual representation that that might not be a very good idea. We have ground spray from aircraft wheels and engines. So when you land on a nice wet runway, perhaps in Amsterdam, you'll see that there's accumulation on the ground there that looks very nice. The other thing is brown and whiteouts in powered lift aircraft. This is something that was new to me. I'm not a helicopter pilot, but seeing some of the training scenarios that this enables has really shown me it's important. I have a quick video on that for you guys. So this was a real life video that we took a few days ago in Burlington, Vermont after a snowfall, and it's an example of a whiteout. So you can see as the helicopter comes in for a landing, it's kicking up all this spray and blinding the pilot as a result. So this is a great feature that was actually first introduced in our Xplane Professional version that will enhance the experience. We also do this for dust. So if you're landing off airport in a powered lift aircraft, you can expect to get some brownout effect as well. And of course, the sparks on a landing gear failure. And an example of how the screenshot tool. I'm not sure if they were playing GTA before this, but it wouldn't surprise me. On the weather side, we have a new real weather server. The provider that we get our real weather data from had some reorganization in the last couple of months that caused some outages. So all of that should be resolved now. We're also bringing better blending to the clouds in real weather. In the past, they've been kind of blocky and the transitions haven't been very smooth. So Ben, our main graphics dev, has spent a long time on that. And we also have less Minecraft clouds in general. So that's always a win. And here's Philip to talk about the aircraft systems a bit more.
Right, thank you. Yeah, so I don't get to see a lot of particle effects if I'm doing my job right, because I work as a flight instructor and hopefully my students all have learned to put the gear down so I don't see the sparks flying. So what I've done in 12.1, I basically added a few things that I keep telling my students. For example, well, on the G1000, roll the cursor down to the airport you're going to, press enter to bring up the waypoint page with the weather report. Didn't work before in Xplane 12. I added that so you get the real downloaded weather. I added the data link weather over ADS-B so you get all the winds aloft for strategic planning, which altitude should I be at to get the most ground speed out of it. I added the satellite page so you can check for WAS coverage or run the rain prediction if your airplane doesn't have WAS. So basically, well, a lot of technical details, but something that I need my students to know to pass their instrument rating. So I added to explain 12.1 what my students need to know to pass their instrument rating. We have quite a few additions on the SDK side for developers who want to build on top of our existing instruments. So they add stuff to our instruments that we don't have, and we have an API for that now and more data refs for the developers so they can really build more stuff. Oh, the ST360 stuff, it's in Xplane 12.1, but we don't have an aircraft yet. An aircraft that uses all of that will come with another update. There's a few updates to the ice and de-ice systems, which look really good, so you can really see ice effects building on the windshield. As you fly through a cloud, it's synchronized with the cloud, so it knows how wet the cloud is, how cold it is, whether the ice builds, and what type of anti-icing system you have on the plane to get rid of the ice. We have a few screenshots on the next one. Which one is the forward button? That one. Yeah, exact. Oh, storm scope. So interacts with the real weather system. Every little lightning flash you see there is an actual flash that you saw hit the ground, that you would have seen looking out the window. And this way you can plan your path through an upcoming thunderstorm, where it would be safe to go, where the lightning activity is less. And that is an example of how window heat works if you only have like a blower of hot air. And if you leave that running for a few more minutes, then it'll be able to thaw the whole windshield.
Yeah, so a lot of this development is focused on third parties. So yes, it'll go into our own default aircraft, like I believe this is our King Air, but we're also opening it up to the developers of your favorite add-ons so that they can bake these features directly into their models as well. That's also a lot of the glass cockpit via plugin stuff we've been working on. That's to make it easier for developers to add their own custom avionics and make it even better. Next up are some of the pro use features. I know that these might not be as interesting to a show like Lelystad, but the cool thing is that a lot of what we learned developing for Xplane Professional makes us better programmers for the main version, and quite often the features will filter down in time as well. So one thing that is in that category, it's open to everyone, is Xplane Control Pad on iOS. So if you have an iPhone or an iPad that you want to fly with, now you can set the weather, set the location of the aircraft, fail any data ref that you want within the iPad itself. So no looking around in the menus or anything of that sort. Scalable display support. Scalable display is a tool that professional sims use for warping and blending all of their different projector channels. And what's crazy about it is that it just uses a webcam. So you really kind of tell it what the corners of your curved and warped display are, and it does the rest. That's a huge time savings over having to get out a laser level and doing a bunch of adjustment and tweaking. So it's a big quality of life thing. We've also made our weather presets a little bit better, which should apply to all copies of Xplane. So less rain under light clouds, for instance. That was a big bug that annoyed me. And the ability to run the sim without all the default aircraft. So if you have aircraft that you never fly, that are still default, that you just want to get rid of to free up some hard drive space, that should now be possible for you as well. As far as some other developments that we've been up to, if you haven't been to xplane.com recently, you'll see that there is a brand new look and feel there to match our new branding. It's really slick. We're a big fan of it, so you should go check that out. Our Airbus A330 is now on the mobile app, so all of our subscribers or people who want to buy just that aircraft can now take that around our world, including in massive multiplayer, so that's pretty exciting. We have an official Discord server that's growing quite fast, which is a lot of fun. If you aren't a member yet, the link to join is on the next slide. We'd love to have you. It's always a really good discussion there. A few weeks ago, we announced our Xplane store, which is in active development. Our plan is to release it in Q3 of this year. It will be an in-game marketplace where you can buy all of your favorite add-on aircrafts and have it both installed and unlocked from a DRM perspective in a single click. It's really exciting and should really remove a lot of the friction involved in adding things to Xplane. The reason that we decided to announce it so early is that we want everyone to have the time to make new products for launching on our store, and to also collect feedback from the existing third parties as well. So that's kind of in the future, but we're really excited about it. And lastly, we will be at Sun & Fun and FS Expo this year. Sun & Fun is in the Flight Experience Center or something. The show there is kind of starting a new push towards having more sims present, so I think that'll be a really exciting opportunity. And of course, FS Expo in Las Vegas. That's going to be a really big one. So I think that's all we've got. Oh, and this is what Xplane.com looks like. And this was our booth last year in Houston. And I think it'll be even bigger in Vegas. All right.
There we are. Thank you very much. So yeah, we do have some time for some questions. So if you have questions for Thompson or Philip from Xplane, please put your hands up and we'll try and get to you. Gentleman here.
Yeah, right now we don't have any VR features on the very next up. We're looking at some ways to make that a little bit nicer to use, but we don't have a really internal consensus on what the next push will be.
Fabulous. Yes.
Yeah, I'm not sure on the details on that. I know that that's one of... You do?
And on the most basic level, in order to... yeah, sorry, thank you. Yeah, I get two of my, I can talk in stereo. So on the most basic level, for this to work really well, your engine needs to support motion vectors, so that you know, okay, in the next frame, this bit is going to be here, so that you can already like pre-compute where it's going to be in the next frame. And Xplane right now doesn't do this, but as a part of the restructuring that started with the modern collector that we had on the slide, Sydney and Ben are going through the engine to make this possible. But yeah, it doesn't make sense to start like FSR or something like that before you have motion vectors.
So, yes and no. It's not just around the corner, but our team is looking at ways to modernize that.
Any other questions? Can't see this bright. Yes.
Yeah, that's not something that we're working on internally right now.
So the question...
Yeah, the question was about shared cockpit plans for Xplane. So that's not something we're working on internally. I think that the shared flight guys have been making a lot of progress for that on their side, but it's not one of our next initiatives, no.
Fabulous. We have time for one more question. Yes.
Can you tell something about the development of VR?
So the question was on development of VR?
Yeah, so for the most part, we don't have any headliner VR features in the pipeline. We're still working on finding some consensus on what would be the most valuable next step for us. So yeah, that's where we're at on that.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Thompson.
Yeah,
thank you,
thank
Philip.
you. Thanks for having
so
us.
you will find them at the Xplane booth area in the other room.
Yep.
But yeah, if you have any other questions, please go see them.
Yeah, and you can stop by and try 12.1. We'd love to have you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to round 3 of our seminars today here at the FSElite Theatre. If you haven't already been, welcome. We have a packed day full of different seminars from all kinds of developers across all of the simulator platforms. We have another packed house. This is incredible. This is the 3rd packed house we've had today, but we do have some really exciting talent that's going to be showcasing some really cool products for you shortly. Very quickly, just some housekeeping if you haven't been here already. The fire exits are towards the top, and we also have doors here as well, anything that's marked with the emergency exit. If you are going to leave the theatre today, then please just come down the stairs and then exit towards this direction. But otherwise, please sit back, relax. We have the team from FlyByWire Simulations, and they're going to talk to you all about their upcoming stuff. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's a packed house, which is very interesting to see. We're very happy with that. So I'm Philippe. I'm part of the FlyByWire team. We have Kieran, who's also going to present. We're going to show a little bit about what we do, why we do it, and we're also going to show a video about the progress we've made on our products. That video is going to be very interesting, fairly long, but you're going to love it. I'm pretty sure about that. So we'll start with that. And oh, cool, the clicker works. That's always good. What are we? Who are we? We are a free and open source development community. That's the word, right? Yes, community. What that means is, first of all, free and open source. So free and open source means that our code is available to anybody. Our code is open on the internet. There's a license attached to that, but it's open for everybody to use, to reproduce, to investigate if you don't feel comfortable, and do with it whatever you want as long as you stay within some license agreements. And it's free because we want the community to grow based on the work we do. We're not alone in this world. We have other solutions like Headwind and Horizon Simulations, etc., who are using our systems to enhance their add-ons because we want to support the community. All of our people are volunteers. Everybody can join our group. We have a lot of stuff that you can do for us if you're ever interested. Come to our booth and ask about it. So a community, and why do we want to build a community? So first of all, it's a collaborative environment. We want to collaborate with everybody. We want to learn from each other. Right? We work together to build an aircraft. Right? And we also want to do that to rapidly improve and innovate in this space. We want to show that by working as a group in an open source environment as volunteers, you can rapidly innovate the space of flight simulation. Right? And then finally, for everybody that joins us, it's a learning experience. We have people in our team that are very young, that start off as students, and that find a career because they worked with us. Right? So it's a really cool environment. And so for the projects, I'm going to hand it off to Kieran.
Thank you very much, Philippe. So, as you know, we have the A32NX and A380X, which are our 2 projects that we mainly work on. When we get through here, there we go. So there's our 2 main projects that we work on for Microsoft Flight Simulator, but it's not the only thing we do. So alongside this, we have a whole infrastructure and a whole lot of projects that we run to enable us to, to enable you to fly the aircraft, to understand how to use it, but also to enable some of the systems like terrain radar. So if we look at some of the projects, we have projects like the installer, SimBridge, documentation, Discord bots, API, and much more. All of this is still open sourced. We run this all as one team, and still allow the community to contribute. The massive benefit of being open source is that the whole community can get involved, and we've seen this through our statistics here. So in Discord, we have over 90,000 members. These are both contributors, people that are flight sim enthusiasts, pilots, engineers. People are really enthusiastic about using Microsoft Flight Simulator, having really good Airbus aircraft. Over 200 contributors. This includes both our core dev team as well as the community. 4,500 more code changes, over 3,000 merged pull requests, and over 1,500 development releases. And the scale of the project is really shown with our latest product, which we haven't released. And please don't ask when, because we still don't know. But we do have a lot of content to show you right now, which we hope you'll enjoy. So we have a 10-minute video of some of the latest changes we've made and some things we think you'll quite enjoy. So I'll stop talking, and Philippe will play the video.
Ground to cockpit, we are going to start connecting the terminal ProSim Park and Brake P7. Alright, aircraft is clear. You can start the engine at your discretion. Togi is disconnected. Stand by. We are on altitude. FlyByWire 380 Super Zulu ground bonjour. Taxi to runway 14 right via Lima 1 Tango 101 Papa 100 Mike 10. Hold short of runway 14 right at holding point Mike 10. takeoff.
minimum 100. 40, 30, 20, 10, 5.
FlyByWire here to taxi Bravo 1 to West, Sierra, Sierra 2. Danke.
So that was the A380X, which is currently still in development, as you may have seen some things there on the eCams, etc., which we're still working on. But that's the current state of the project. It's really impressive where we've come. We're only 3.5 years into FlyByWire, and every one of us are loving every minute of it. It's been a real learning curve, and I think the A380X is a real showcase of what you can do as an open community. Although the project isn't open yet, when it does release, it will be open source, like the A32NX, and will become a much bigger project. You can connect with us on our website, Discord, and our GitHub. Discord's where we communicate most of the time within our projects, and the GitHub is where we run all of our development, and that's where you, if you wish to be involved, can do in the future. The video you're seeing here will be live on our YouTube channel in the next few minutes as well, if you wish to see that on your own screens at home as well. And that's everything we have for you today. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Thank you ever so much for coming today and actually showcasing that OS for us. So we do have time for just a couple of questions, but of course you guys do have your booth as well where you are showcasing the A380, so please be sure to check that out as well. So, any questions for the FlyByWire team? Yes? Any chance of release for the A380 this year?
If anyone's in our Discord, they'll know what the response is going to be. We don't know, to be honest, because of the nature of the project, open source, and it's all in our own free time. If one of the people producing a main part of the A380 goes off for a while, there might not be much work going on there. So it is an as and when situation. So we hope to release as soon as we can, but we'll keep you tied in on our socials and Discord for our release dates.
Thank you. Any further questions? Yes, right at the back.
Just out of curiosity, how many real-world pilots do you have that are assisting you guys in, I guess, giving advice and stuff?
So the question was, how many real-life pilots do you have in assisting in the development?
That's a very good question. There's a few. We can't really have a number on it because people chip in and out. So we do have a good number of real pilots that either used to fly or do still currently fly the A380, as well as A32NX as well.
Any more questions? Yes? So the question was, is there going to be any takeoff or landing performance calculators within the aircraft?
So there will, similar to the A32NX, it's going to be in the same situation that it's a very complex thing to work out, and it's going to be using a lot of information from real pilots to be able to work out the calculations and understand what situations the aircraft will be in. So it might not be there from day one, but over time, as development goes on, more people chip in, we'll definitely have a performance calculator as soon as we can.
Great. We have time for one more question. Yes? So the question is, what do you think is so great about the A380?
Ooh. Yeah, well, it's the largest passenger aircraft in the world, and it's triumphant in coming back after COVID and being one of the glorious aircraft of the sky, alongside the 747, which I know is a fan of a lot of people. But we love the Airbus aircraft, we love the Airbus lineup, and the A380 we think is the ultimate aircraft for passenger experience, and we love it so much that we decided to make it into the simulator.
Fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for all of your questions. Please put your hands together for the FlyByWire team. So that wraps up our seminar from the FlyByWire Simulations team. As I said, they do have a booth, so please feel free to go and speak to them if you have any further questions. Thank you very much for coming. The next seminar will be in about 10 minutes' time with MobiFlight, and they're going to take you through some really cool stuff with their technology about how you can do home cockpit sims as well. So, as I said, please do exit out this way, and thank you very much.
MobiFlight logo ever that I've seen. Yeah.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the FSElite Theatre. For the next seminar, we have MobiFlight. Very quickly, just housekeeping. The exits are down here, and we have some at the top as well. If you are going to leave the theatre mid-presentation, please just come down the stairs and then head over to this direction. But we don't want you to leave because these guys are going to talk about some really cool stuff for you. So without further ado, please welcome to the stage MobiFlight.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks for having us. Yeah, I brought also Thomas with me. So,
hello.
Yeah, he's part of the MobiFlight moderator team and a big asset to our MobiFlight project. So we are very glad and privileged to be here. And I would love to know quickly who has heard of MobiFlight before. Can I see some hands? Wow, that's
like a half.
Yeah. No, I would say that's the majority. Great, but for anyone who does not know what MobiFlight is about, MobiFlight helps you to create home cockpit components and connect them easily to your favorite flight simulator. I think that really wraps it up very quickly and nicely. So the challenge in this process where we design and we build things for our home cockpit is where it comes to connecting them. Yeah, we can build and design using open source tools. And with MobiFlight, we can also use open source tools for connecting and configuring. Who has built something for themselves? Like additionally to a joystick that you have, who has something else DIY? That's actually not so many. I'm surprised. You should really give it a try. Open source is awesome, right? Because, why is open source awesome?
Because nobody's going to take it away from you.
That is one thing, yeah. That is one thing. We share with open source. Open source is very powerful because of the availability of the code, but it is also very powerful because of the community that is making like the open source project really successful and appealing to anyone who wants to join. And the really cool thing about open source projects is that you do not necessarily have to be a software developer. You also contribute to the project by all these things that we have there, like providing bug information or sharing ideas or just interacting with the rest of the people of the community, sharing your knowledge and ideas and things that you learned, right?
Yeah.
That's extremely powerful. We have a huge community actually with MobiFlight. We have over 6,500 people registered on our Discord server who share ideas and help each other and ideate together around the home cockpit building topic. And one thing that is also really nice about MobiFlight is that it is very flexible. It scales with your ideas. It can be small, just a panel with a button, or it can be a full-size cockpit that you build, and MobiFlight is going to be the same tool for you throughout this process. Advance. So this is a selection of things that people are building with the help of MobiFlight and that community members are sharing on our Discord server. I mean, Thomas.
Yeah, this is a lot of discussion and a lot of thumbs up emojis and people getting excited and figuring out how to do things, and it might have a side effect of finding new tools on your garage or workshop and kind of ending up in a bit of a rabbit hole in a fun way and figuring out if you have a makerspace nearby and that might have a laser cutter, for example, to make panels.
Yeah,
whatever.
It's extremely impressive of what people actually come up with and are able to build with tools that are readily accessible for home usage, like 3D printing was a huge accelerator. And at the end, they always get to the point that they want to connect it to their favorite flight sim, where they then also use MobiFlight for. But the point here is MobiFlight is not only a tool, MobiFlight is a whole community with great ideas. And we see that there is a lot of positive feedback about MobiFlight. If you look at our GitHub repository, we have over 200 stars, people that like the project on for this kind of niche project. That's, in my opinion, very, very fantastic. And we also have 30 contributors over the time now who have contributed actually software code to the MobiFlight code base. That is super amazing, because when I started this project 10 to 13 years ago, I always had this dream of having people helping me, so that not only is on my shoulders, but it took a little while, but we are there now. It's so cool to have this very, very exciting feedback from the community, that people take their time and they dedicate it to making MobiFlight better for everyone.
And it's not just code, so people are helping each other get started and help each other to kind of refine and figure out how to do things and how to build, what to build, and how to make the panels and the sim experience better. And also contribute documentation. We have a wiki on GitHub that people share, like how to do this and how to do that. And
yeah, so this is actually going beyond this, so there are even more contributing. Quick shout out to everyone who is on this list. Thank you so much for helping. Applause real quick. I know that at least one person is here in the audience.
I know that guy who was on the top corner.
Yeah.
But luckily there are others too.
Yeah, that is true. And another cool community effort that we're doing is we are collecting so-called presets. And presets make configurations a lot easier for everyone when they assign a certain function to their button or want to make an LED turn on and off. We have collected over 28,000 presets as a community effort, which is also mind-blowing and shows that how people are really liking the idea of open source and being able to contribute and engage with everyone. Last year was super exciting. That is just a small recap. We had our 10th anniversary, and we also had version 10. And with version 10, we also had some really cool features added. And one is that we are now able to easily do partner integrations. And if you take a look at the MobiFlight website, you will see that there are some partner logos showing up on the front page who decided to build their products on top of the MobiFlight firmware. So instead of them having to reinvent the wheel, they said, wow, it's really cool that there's this open source project out there. I'm going to leverage this power and I will focus on what I'm doing best. I'm creating the device and the experience for the user. So one of the first guys who integrated with MobiFlight was this Octavi device. We have a special encoder integration for them. We have CoreFlight Technologies with their entire product line around the Boeing 737 components.
And also on Airbus now.
Yeah, and we have the Mini FCU, which was everyone was very excited about the Mini FCU, a very successful Kickstarter project, who decided to use MobiFlight as an alternative firmware to make their product more flexibly configurable for the users, which was a very successful decision actually, because the community only in about 2 weeks created a multitude of different profiles so that the Mini FCU would not only work with Airbus, but also with Cessnas and PMDG 737s and so on and so forth. So that is really cool. We have CAF Simulations, also partially these partners are here at the venue. You can check out their booths with their products. This is also really cool with this authentic displays. This all is based on a new kind of improvement on the MobiFlight capabilities, which we call custom devices. And Thomas, he was also one who is really familiar with custom device. So let us, tell us a little bit about custom devices.
Yeah, so custom devices are kind of a way to overcome the limitation when you have, of course, in MobiFlight, you can have like buttons and encoders and LEDs and 7-segment displays for showing data. But there's like a limited amount of things that you can do because, like, for example, you have a lot of OLED displays available for Arduino, and then it would be difficult to configure those like generically in MobiFlight because whatever you want to put there. So we have an option that you can use MobiFlight to connect to the simulator, but then there's an opportunity to write the rest of the firmware as an Arduino sketch yourself, where you can use like a graphics library to display text or graphics on the display, for example, or whatever else there is that is not supported by the main devices of MobiFlight.
Yeah, as we saw these custom devices for mini FCU or CAF displays, those are utilizing this feature. And this really unlocks a new level of creativity coming out of the community, and especially takes out the MobiFlight development team from the process, because we are not the ones that are becoming the bottleneck. People can ideate, people can create new device support, and I'm really, really excited about this feature, and I'm pretty sure that we're going to see some really cool stuff coming from the community as new ideas.
And that's a kind of showcase for the custom devices. It was a collaboration between Sebastian and Ralph, who's developing on the firmware side, and me, who I'm just doing 3D design and 3D printing and that kind of stuff. And we decided to do kind of a recreation of the Garmin GNC 255 radio, it has an OLED display for the frequencies. And we also have a new feature of MobiFlight that can read strings like text data from the simulator. So it actually, when you tune a radio station, if that is something that's in range on the simulator at that moment, it will also show the identifier and the kind of type of station. So you have like the tower and ground frequencies, and those show up. So that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, and it also shows the fidelity that you can reach with DIY tools. I mean, it's not like out of the world things. You went to the hack lab for some of the engraving, but this is all done by this guy. He's so good at this stuff. Yeah, he is so knowledgeable, and you can check it out at the booth. You should really come and take a close look. It simply looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Congrats, really.
Thanks. And I mean, it looks nice. I have, of course, a ton of experience behind me, but it's all kind of self-made, so nothing like impossibly hard to figure out.
You're not a professional.
No, I don't have like injection molding machine on my backyard or something.
But also like your background. Yeah, you kind of, this is all learning by doing.
Yeah, exactly.
And then tell us a little bit about the tools that you were using also in the process for design and build, which is open source.
Yeah, so actually we had these slides a bit backwards, but I don't care. So the PC board, I made a circuit board for the design. It uses actually a Raspberry 2040 CPU. So it has like a Arduino built in to this circuit board. Then I designed this like 3D printed case to hold the buttons and everything on the screen in place. And that was done in FreeCAD. So, and what else?
It does not advance, unfortunately.
Yeah, something is a bit weird.
Okay,
there you go. Here we go. So then the circuit board was done in KiCad, which is open source software as well, like FreeCAD. And I had it made for me because nowadays it's so easy to kind of order things when you design and you get stuff made.
I'm sorry, I have to walk over. I think the battery is...
The computer is acting up. Yeah. So KiCad.
So yeah, that was the 3 tools, right?
Yeah.
Ender should have been...
Yeah, like 3D. The case was 3D printed on an Ender-free 3D printer, which is also like an open source printer.
Yeah. Okay. So we saw there has happened a lot of things. a lot of exciting things since the last time that we were here at Lelystad. The community grew, the functionality of MobiFlight grew, but we don't want to stop there. So you might ask you what's next. And the really exciting thing that we are working on right now is, point at you, is the new UI. So this is an early prototype, but it has a completely new front-end framework, totally modern, really cool technology stack. And I'm experimenting with this already. It's going to be super much more interactive, very nice to look at, to render on different screen sizes. There will be a dark mode and such fancy stuff. A lot of cool things. And what I really like about this change is not only that this is going to improve the user friendliness, so the usability of the tool, but this will also be a huge thing for contributors, because now we have a modern stack which more people are knowledgeable about, and then they can decide to contribute to MobiFlight, which with the current framework that I was using, which was already dated, that was very that was always a hurdle to overcome.
Yeah, and it was also like really hard to do some things, and kind of the running saying was that, yeah, we'll do it on the next version of the UI, which is now happening, which is great.
So we're very excited about this, and if you want to check it out, I can also provide a sneak peek at our booth about this new UI. And I think that wraps it up. We already mentioned it a couple of times. Meet us at the booth, and for everyone who is here, you can advance one more. For everyone who is here tomorrow, there are a few spaces open, so we were coming here running last minute, because we got just out of one of the workshops, one of the 4 workshops that we are providing here during the weekend to teach people how to get started with building home cockpit components with the help of MobiFlight, and also to really show how easy it is. And if you're interested, approach us at the booth. If you're lucky, there might be space available tomorrow for one of the sessions. So with this, we say thank you. Thanks for having us. Thanks for giving us the opportunity to present MobiFlight to you, and enjoy the show here. And that's it.
Yep. Thank you.
Thanks, Thomas.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Before we run away, do we have any questions from the audience? Yes.
You mentioned the custom devices functionality. Is it something that's already in, or something that you're still working on?
This is already included. So the question was, the custom devices, is this available as a feature already? Yes, it is, since version 10. And there is also a really cool repository template that you can start with, which gives you a nice outline, and which has some continuous integration pipelines and whatnot. So at the end of the day, you will end up with the zip file that you just have to drop into MobiFlight to make your custom device also available to other users.
Any further questions? Yes.
I'd like to see MobiFlight as a one-stop shop for our home cockpit builds. Only the real question I have is, are there any plans to implement the little screens inside of MobiFlight so we can project some virtual instruments, or do we still have to do it only by encoders and
Okay, so the question is if there's going to be capabilities for software rendered gauges and information, because typically in a home cockpit you have this combination of physical hardware and then also some gauges that are on a screen where you have like a mask in front of it, something like Air Manager does. We have discussed this, but it's not really on the roadmap at the moment, because we know it's a huge undertaking, because creating this library of gauges that you want to provide to your users, that's a big work. I was actually talking to the guys from Flight Gear this morning. They have a real big repository already, and it's also an open source project, so there might be a chance to collaborate.
The only problem for me is I'm building a helicopter simulator and there are no gauges for helicopters.
Oh, okay.
That's why I'd like to see one step where you can, when it's open source, do your own features or own thing, but only using the source code
Yeah, and I mean, this is also a very kind of advanced question. Feel free to approach us at the booth and we can discuss it further there. One last thing that I would like to mention, one very specific concrete idea though, is that we open up the data that MobiFlight works with via an API, which could also be a way to, approach your problem.
Amazing. Thank you ever so much. Please put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen, for MobiFlight. If you do want to see any more from them, please do go and find them at their booth, and it's really awesome stuff. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Callum.
So please do stick around if you want to hear from ProSim. They're going to be here in 10 minutes to discuss their new upcoming suite of products. Please, if you do want to exit, please come down the stairs and exit to your left. Ladies and gentlemen, hello, and welcome to the 3 o'clock seminar with ProSim. My name is Callum, and welcome to the FSElite Theatre. If you've joined us for other seminars, hello again. If you're brand new, then welcome to the stage. Just a few very quick housekeeping and safety reminders. If you haven't already been in here, we do have exits at the top of the stairs, and we also have 2 exits down at the bottom as well. We're going to take you through a presentation, and then we'll have a bit of time as well for a Q&A, so please do save any questions until the end. But please, in the meantime, please put your hands together from Hannah from ProSim.
Thank you everyone. Thank you, Colin, for the introduction, and thank you everyone for being here, for attending the event, but also listening to our update here. Thank you also for Niels and his team for taking over this organization and doing a really good job. What I always like to know is how many of you are already ProSim users? Okay, that's great. I would say almost half of you guys, so thank you for that, and still a lot to win. It's great seeing you all again. It's new people, new faces, but also people that we have known for over 10 years, and it feels like coming home, basically. If you have any questions, as Colin said, please keep them for after the presentation. Come to our booth later, come to our booth tomorrow, or meet us tonight in the bar of the Van der Valk Hotel. What you're looking at is a new brand called HomeSim. I've spoken to a number of you guys already here on the exhibition floor, answered many questions already, but glad to give you the complete story. Yes, here we go. Why HomeSim? Let me start by giving you a little overview of the history of ProSim. It was in 26 that I joined an IT company in Delft. And there was a brilliant guy working there too. Like midday, he would always walk up to us and say, yeah, my work's done. I may want to go home. Is that okay? I would ask him, what are you going to do at home? And why would you do that? And he would say, I'm working on my airplane. I said, airplane, you silly boy, get back to work. But then a few years later, it was around 2009, he said, now you have to come and look at what I do. So I went to his place. I got to see a simulator. To be honest, I never had seen an airplane cockpit. So that was all new for me. It looked kind of outdated, to be honest. But he said, this is what I make. I make the software that is sitting in here. I'm sort of fed up with what I now do, and this is where I make something that people truly appreciate. He said, you have to help me make a business out of it. I promise you, you never need to worry about technology as long as I don't need to worry about running a business, talking to the tax department, those kind of things. So that is how we started, first with the 737 only, which we started licensing in 2012. We were just still a small team, just with the 3 of us, or later 4. Then in 2017, we added the A320. And these were in times where we were just focusing on home cockpit building. We weren't really looking farther. I didn't realize that there was a different market. But then interest started to show from commercial shops where people can take entertainment flights, fly an hour for $100, get the pilot experience. Later on, we were also seeing more and more at interest actually from the training market, from the professionals. But we were progressing. We were releasing ProSim A320. That was also the year where we did our first certified simulator by the authorities. And later on in 2020, we released the B388M, which is a MAX representative. That was ProSim until then. If we look at the company today, we have grown quite a bit. We're 24 people now. We primarily focus on pilot training, on the professional industry. We still have the same aircraft types, so the 737NG, B388M, A320ceo and neo. We deliver that software for the fixed-base training devices. We have made a virtual instructor, a student pilot which sits down in a cockpit with augmented reality goggles on, and on the side get instructions about the next procedures to follow. We track that information, we do eye tracking. We have AI processing that information and then come up with a sort of dynamic syllabus for the pilot students. We have FMS trainers. We have software for maintenance personnel to train. There's more I wanted to say about that. Yeah, so the focus has been professional. We also realized that we, while going into professional, kind of neglected, not on purpose, the home cockpit builders. We have been coming here. Actually, it's an anniversary we now have. We have been coming here for over 10 years, every year since 2012. But it was hard for us to keep contact with both groups from one brand name. Whenever we would send out a newsletter, it was either irrelevant for the home users or it was irrelevant for the professionals. If we would think of nice functionality that would be nice for the home users, like an EFB, then it would not be relevant for the professionals. So it would be sort of sitting in the way there. And that is why we have decided to introduce HomeSim. So HomeSim is ProSim's renewed focus on home cockpit builders. The most obvious thing that we changed is the website. Yesterday we have taken down the old website prosimar.com, which would focus on both customers groups. In return, we now have homesim.arrow, which only focuses on the home users, the non-commercial licenses for private home use. And in addition, we have another website for the professionals under prosim.arrow. So what is HomeSim? As said, it is the same company, different brand name. It is also the same people. The team is growing. Our development capacity and support capacity is expanding. And we have a renewed focus on home cockpit building. So what we want to do different is put more focus on the community. We will be more active in our own forum. We have Jeroen joining our team, who will be managing social media more actively. We want to focus more on user projects, people that have been building their cockpit for 5 or 10 years and would like to speak about it. Talk to Jeroen, he does an interview, either remote or he will visit you. He's flying all around Europe and can come visit you and describe your case. So ProSim software, HomeSim will deliver a version of the ProSim software that is tailored for home use. It is still the same ProSim software. We will also be calling it ProSim software, but over the next couple of months something will change, and that is for new licensees only. The existing customers will keep exactly the same functionality as they have now. For new licensees, at some point we will be introducing a change, removing some functionality that is really directed for training, and that, for instance, is lowering the number of malfunctions that is present in the software. What will be possible, we still have to come up with a final scope and pricing for that, but we will be offering to home users, or actually to every user, to upgrade their malfunctions from one tier to the next. So for home users, that would be upgrading from the non-commercial malfunction set to the commercial malfunction set. And of course, also the home users keep benefiting from a lot of the developments that we do for professional use. Other updates that I wanted to share with you. Up until now, we have delivered the software with 1 year of free updates, and after the first year, we were charging 100 euros per year to continue receiving updates. We have changed the update subscription into a support subscription. The support subscription contains software updates, but also a support SLA. That means that any user would receive 2 hours of our support free of charge. After the 2 hours, we will be charging for support. Only in cases, though, where the issue that the user is experiencing is attributable to a ProSim mistake. So for any problems that we cause, we don't charge. If we need to help you longer time setting up your device, etc., then we would charge, but only with prior consent. Still about support though, in the past, we had a little bit of a bad name in that regard. We were struggling with too many tickets. At some point, I think we had 300 or 400 open in our system. It was just difficult to keep up with it. At the moment, we have 3 people dealing with support. The support portal is working very well. We're down to around about 25 open tickets per product. If you need our support, please go to our support portal. The forum, of course, will also get some more attention. We will be a bit more active there. We will do a fresh new look, update the logo, but it will remain a community forum, so for people to interact with each other and to ask other users for their support. If that doesn't work, if you need us to jump in, then please go to our support portal and raise a ticket there. What will also change is the cycle of the updates. What we have been aiming for up until now is to bring out a product release for each of the aircraft types every 4 weeks. That seemed like a good idea, and for a while we kept up with that, but at the moment it has turned out to be not such a great idea, because it made us rush, it made us put out updates that were not tested well enough. So from a quality assurance perspective, we are changing from 4 weeks to 8-week update cycles. Then 11.055, does anybody know what that means? That's good. Actually, it is an error by our activation server. When you use ProSim once in a while, your software needs to talk to our service in order to remain active. The current system is causing a bit of problems to us, and one of the very well-known errors there is 11.055, which is also very hard to resolve. It is a networking problem on our side. I'm glad we can tell you that we are changing our activation server, getting it all more under our own control, and then those kind of problems should be just in the past. Also a big improvement. Up until now we have hosted and managed our web shop ourselves. What we are now doing is transitioning it to a merchant of record, which basically means it's an external company just acting as a reseller. They do what they're good at, we do what we're good at. Also in the past years we have been having some difficulties with the billing of recurring support subscriptions. People got not billed at all, people got billed 3 times. I want to apologize for those issues. At the moment we have put our FMS trainer subscription licenses in this new web shop. Everything seems to work fine, and in the next couple of weeks we will be merging also all non-commercial licenses and support subscriptions to this new system. Pricing, always very important, hot topic, but I'm glad to tell you that for the 5th year in a row we're not changing the pricing of the user licenses. A home user license remains at 1,500 euros ex VAT. On the support side we are making a little change. The support subscription goes from 100 per year to 120 per year, so that should be quite overseeable. Recent software developments. After this talk, I will be answering your questions. If you have any in-depth questions about functionality, then I will appoint one of my colleagues here who can tell you a little bit more about that. We have added ATIS, D-ATIS and voice ATIS. We have released a new version of the ProSim audio module. The previous module was sort of limited. If you had multi-channel audio in your simulator, then you needed to run multiple instances of ProSim audio. This new version just makes everything easier. Multiple channels on one system, management of mono and stereo, etc. In that new ProSim audio, we have also added new sounds. That has been a past complaint from many of you. New sounds, cockpit environment. We have a config file manager that also resolves some problems. Up until now, the config files per module were saved within that module location, and they, of course, would sometimes get corrupted. Now it is possible to make backups of your config file. It's saved in a different directory, so if you mess with ProSim, you will not lose your config files. You can make a backup and then start experimenting with your configuration and just roll back to your original config. what also sometimes happens, because we're working with Windows computers with a lot of USB assignments, is that Windows would forget or drop the USB COM port assignments. Well, with this new functionality, it is easy to map your current configurations to the new COM ports without having to go through all kind of reconfiguration. The visual models for all aircraft types, we keep improving them. That is really a constant, almost full-time job for the 4 aircraft types for both prepared and MSFS. So we keep improving them and providing liveries with them. For the 737, some highlights are improved jaw damper and the overhauled electric and hydraulic systems. On the A320 side, Marty did a big job with the whole fly-by-wire rewrite. And we have released compatibility for P3D V6. We have created drivers for the new FDS Ethernet components for the CP Flight A320, which is new, and also new for the upcoming Scalarki 737s NG and MAX components. Looking into the future, something asked for a lot, we will be adding the EFB to our products. The consumer version will be a bit nicer than there with Candy functionality than the professional version will be. For the 737, we plan to rework the engine model and the autopilot systems. When it becomes available, and sometimes that's a little bit difficult to predict, it's also difficult to predict how much work it is going to be, but we are compatible with 2020 and we aim to also do that for 24. Drivers, we will create native support for the Cockpit for You throttles, and we will create support for the Simon overhead panel and TQ. And of course, as we always do, we continuously keep updating the systems of all the aircraft types that we support. That was rather fast. What I wanted to tell you is that we're also going to be present at the FS Expo, so we want to keep giving more attention to the home users. I guess that was about it from my side. Any questions from the audience? Either everything's clear or maybe not. Yes, please, here in front. Where is our company located? That's a good one. I forgot to address that. So our head office is in Delft, here in the Netherlands. We have 24 people. They're spread out across the globe. We have an office in Costa Rica, one in Portugal, and one in Nanjing in China. But feel free to come see us in Delft. Give us a ring in advance, but everyone's always welcome. Thank you. Any other questions, people? Yes, please go ahead. Okay, thank you for that question. It is about performance, not so much system performance, but aircraft performance, a little bit beyond my own knowledge. Also a bit of a deep question. I don't know if anyone from my team can quickly address that question, and otherwise I would ask you to...
Right now, you can go to the booth. Yeah, you can. Yeah, we can talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah, so as Humberto says, please head to the booth. There we have the smarter than me people that can hopefully resolve your problem. Yes, please, go ahead. let me wrap that up. If I understand you correct, you would like to know more about the difference between the home user software and the professional software, about modules that can bridge that, or? Mm-hmm. Okay. If we can offer modules now to home users that we make available now to the professional users. I believe, actually, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, but I believe that our product for home users is pretty complete at the moment. The beautiful thing about home users is that they're very passionate, right, about their build. And maybe even more into details than some professionals are, because for them it's just a job and for you it's a passion. In that way it's also nicer sometimes, in a certain sense, to be here and to deal with home users rather than talk to professionals. They're also nice people, but they're happy when the sim does the job for their business and they're not so passionate or thankful as we see here. If we look at the functionality that will be different between the license types, it is the number of malfunctions, and to be honest, I don't think home users use 300 malfunctions on a regular basis. But also, for instance, we have software for compliance with the regulatory requirements, like we call it a QTG. It is an objective assessment of the aerodynamic behavior. It's not something that you want at home. You don't need that for anything. It doesn't add anything to your joy. If you spoke about, I think, a motorized EQ, we have support for that. We have support for control loading also for home users. So if there's anything that you're missing, please come talk to us. But at the moment, we have no, other than the tier upgrade for the malfunctions, at the moment we have no plans to offer any additional packages as upsells. But I'm always open for ideas in that regard. Yes, please. The approximate lead time for integration of the native drivers for the Cockpit view throttles. I'm looking at my colleague Humberto right in front of me. What is your estimate, please?
Driver.
Yeah, can you repeat that perhaps over the mic?
Yeah, the current problem is related with the POCUS driver. So we need to rework the POCUS driver, and after that it should be very simple. Yeah, it's, let's say, I hope before the end of the year, 2024. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that question.
So this will be the final question for us for today.
Okay, okay. Yes, please go ahead. Thank you for the question and column. Can I ask you to hand over that mic again to Humberto here?
Of course.
The yaw damper previously basically was not working anything, so it's not doing anything. And right now it is. So the logic is correct, so we can see actually the indicator will move now. And we have the dampening working. Yeah, and the electrical was completely overhauled, so new elements, the tie breakers were now implemented as elements. For the professionals, so we added additional failures for the breakers. Same for hydraulics. Hydraulics were static system, and now it's dynamic, so we can see the quantity changing. If you lower the gear, upper the gear, before it was static, so the quantity was not changing in the tanks. Now we can see the quantity changing. Oh, okay. So yeah, these kind of improvements. Yeah, great.
Thank you, Humberto. That was the last question here on stage. Please come and see us, have fun with us, hang with us, see us at the FS Expo, and contact us anytime. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much to Han from ProSim, now HomeSim as well, for taking the time to talk to us about the exciting new product range that they have coming out. So that is a wrap for everything from today at the FSElite Theatre. Thank you so much for everyone who has attended. You can get a recap of everything that's been announced so far over on our website, fselite.net. But for now, please enjoy the rest of the show here at Lelystad. And if you are here tomorrow, please do come back from 12:30 tomorrow, where we have a special reveal of a very certain airport, literally just around the corner. So please do come back. We have another series of announcements as well, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Thank you, and have a great day.